Hello everybody, and welcome to Season 3 of Kozibear's Cooking, the most audacious cooking show on the internet. Man, you'd think that 10 episodes into this show I'd be able to nail this like nobody would ever believe, but alas, I am only human, and unfortunately I'm going to make mistakes, but it's okay because I'll keep getting back up and trying again and again and again. It's Season 3 of Kozibear's Cooking, which means that for 12 weeks, or in this case 10 weeks, because I decided to shorten Season 3 by a little bit and cut out 2 episodes here and there, I'm coming to you live with 10 fantastically unique, never-before-seen dishes for your eyeballs and ear holes to enjoy, and my lips to savor. If you're not currently doing so already, you can catch me live on this show every Sunday at 4 p.m. EST, as well as give back to the channel by subscribing to me, following me, or even tossing a buck or two my way via the donation button. Doing so will earn you my eternal gratitude and a few wheel spins from the prize wheel of causality. You want to see that wheel spin, don't you? You want to see it land on the spot that makes me have to take a shot of hot sauce, or do 5 or 10 push-ups, or maybe eat a couple of durian candies. You know you want it, so be sure to do the necessary steps to make me spin that wheel. Okay, today we are making something that I have dubbed an Inception Pizza Whistle. Now you're probably wondering, what is an Inception Pizza Whistle? What even is a pizza whistle? Well, allow me to jog your memory with an image of one of the first pizza whistles that I made. So this is a pizza creation inspired by a treat that was effectively created on the podcast The Comedy Button. Basically, what it was is every time on the show they would like to make fun of Ryan Scott and his kind of culinary tastes or lack thereof, they would mock him by saying, "Oh, Ryan Scott, you went to the farmer's market and you got some pizza whistles." I don't think they would actually sell pizza whistles at a farmer's market, but you get the idea. In any case, I would task myself with figuring out what a pizza whistle actually was and making it live on the show. And what I decided is that it would kind of be like those pizza bites, but basically extended and extended and extended until it formed a whistle shape or perhaps a penis shape. You know, it's either or. It's like that ink blot test or the Rorschach test, whichever you want, multiple choice. The 2 pizza whistles right here feature a variety of different toppings inside of them. The one that's a little bit more further in back, I believe that one had pepperoni, spicy Italian sausage, like cheddar, mozzarella, and tomato sauce inside of it. The one that's a little bit closer in view of the camera had a mixture of ricotta, spinach, and some spices inside of it as well. And so I was thinking, you know, what would be a cool way to kind of riff on the kind of classic pizza whistle formula? And I figured, well, what if I took it to the next level and did pizza whistles on top of pizza whistles? You've probably seen some pizzerias before do things like, for example, have like tiny little pieces of pizza, like pizza slices, on top of a larger pizza. And so I figured I might as well go ahead and try doing that. Let me just check something real quick. Oh. 1 second. Sorry, I noticed that the Pretzel Rocks music was playing a little bit loud, and so I decided to switch to a different track and make sure the volume was adequately lowered. Should be okay now. Sorry that I had to do a little bit of tech live on air. Sometimes, though, you gotta make sure that you do that, though, even if it does disrupt the flow of the stream a little bit, because you don't want your entire stream to be covered by this incredibly obnoxiously loud music that you could have, you know, fixed a little bit earlier on. Okay, looks and sounds good. All right, so yeah, chances are you've probably seen some more daring pizzerias online do stuff like, hey, we made a pizza with tiny little slices of pizza cut from a smaller pizza on top of it. And I figured, why not do the same with the pizza whistle? What we're going to be doing today is we're going to use normal pizza dough to make an especially large pizza whistle. Let me bring in the counter view cam real quick. As you can see, we have our normal pizza dough right here. It has risen over the course of the past, I want to say 20, more like I want to say 16 hours. I unfortunately had to make the dough a little bit later than I would have liked. And then on top of that pizza whistle that we're going to make with the dough I just brought in, we are going to put a healthy amount of cheese, and then on top of that, we are going to put a bunch of smaller pizza whistles made into tiny little spirals with this beet flavored dough. This is dough that I made alongside some roasted beets that I made just ahead of today's stream, which is why the dough in this particular bowl has not risen as much as the white dough over there. We're still gonna kind of leave it to rise a little bit longer. The pizza whistles that we're gonna make the beet dough out of will be vegetarian. They will feature the same ricotta spinach filling that the pizza whistle pictured a little bit earlier was filled with. And together they will basically look like a actual real pizza, but actually it's just a bunch of smaller pizza whistles on top of a larger pizza whistle. Clear as mud? If it's not, don't worry. I will get you to the end, no problem. First things first. So I already prepared the two doughs, obviously, as I just showed you a moment ago, but there are many ingredients that need to go on top of these doughs when we're ready to sculpt them into whistles that I have not yet made. One of the things that we got to work on, and I'm going to start with it right off the bat, is the pizza sauce. I did, if you recall, defrost some tomato sauce that I used on my previous stream, but while I felt that it was good enough for what I needed to do last time, I didn't feel like it was perhaps as flavorful as it could be for this particular stream. So we're going to make some more pizza sauce from scratch. To make the pizza sauce, we're going to consult a recipe that I've used many a times. This comes from littlespicejar.com. Homemade pizza sauce. Ingredients. We need 128-ounce can of, it calls for whole tomatoes, but we had this can of crushed tomatoes on hand, so I figured it would just be easier to kind of use this. We are going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil right here. We are going to need 1/4 of a cup of grated onions. I did not have any grated onions on hand, but I consulted with my parents and they agreed that it would be easier if I just used the white part of this leek. So we will be using that. 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon of dried oregano, which I have right here. 1 teaspoon of dried basil, which I have right here. It's not marked, but I know that this is basil. We are going to need 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, which I have right here, properly marked this time. We are going to need 3 cloves of garlic, which I have waiting right over here, ready to be used at a moment's notice. We're going to need 2 teaspoons of sugar, which I have right here. I have the whole bag. And finally, we are going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. Of course, is it any surprise that I have this stuff on hand? All right, let's get into the instructions. So the first step is that if we had a can of whole tomatoes, we'd want to basically break them down or use an immersion blender to break them up. We don't need to do that. Next up, step number 2, in a medium saucepan placed over medium heat, heat the olive oil, grated onions, oregano, basil, and red pepper flakes. Allow to cook for 3 to 4 minutes, stirring frequently so nothing sticks or burns. Add garlic and continue to cook for another 30 seconds to a minute. So what we're going to do, real simple, is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to prepare everything that we're going to put in the bowl, save the olive oil. So let's go ahead. Grated onions, oregano, basil, and red pepper flakes. Let's measure out the 3 spices first, because once we measure those out, we can put them away and we can make our counter ever so slightly cleaner. Okay, oregano. I gotta say the scent of this stuff really wafts really strongly. 1/2 a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon. I will do 3/4 of a teaspoon. So I will do 1/2 a teaspoon first and then 1/4 of a teaspoon second. All right, that's my half. there is my fourth. It's not perfectly accurate, but that's okay. The recipe itself says like 1/2 to 3/4 itself. It itself is uncertain, so I suppose that it won't mind our own uncertainty and lack of preciseness. For dried basil, however, it asks us for exactly 1 teaspoon, so that's exactly what we're going to go with. All right, and there we go. Got our 1 teaspoon of basil in there. Seeing as how both these guys have been dealt with, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schlep them back into the counter from whence they came. All right, perfect. Next up, we got our red pepper flakes. The recipe called for us to use 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of these things. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm actually going to use slightly less than that even, because I was conversing with my tech team ahead of time about how spicy this particular meal would be. And I said, you know, I'm trying not to make it too spicy, so we'll try and prevent it from burning anybody's mouths. All right, red pepper flakes goes back in the drawer. All right, time for our onions, or rather in this case, our leeks. Let me just find the right knife for this. Perfect. I had a smaller version of this knife, but I used it to cut up some of the beets ahead of the stream, so I didn't have it on hand. So the idea is that we got to cut the equivalent of 1/4 of a cup. Or rather cut and then grate. I actually, typically in the past, I've not used the grater to grate onions, but I feel like with a leek, it actually might work a little bit better this time, but I'm not 100% certain. We'll see, we'll see. For now, I can just throw out this particular piece. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's give it a shot. Okay, it's not the best grating experience that I've ever had, but it's working out okay. The problem is that there's some big pieces over here that didn't fully get grated that you can't really grate anymore because it would be too difficult to do so. So I'm going to kind of do my best to kind of mince them as small as I possibly can do so with here, with this knife. I understand now why it was recommended that I use leek instead of onion. These guys, they don't induce the same sort of crying sensation as onions, but like feel-wise, their sliminess is very, very onion-like. Okay, one sec. Okay. I was planning on using this same grater to grate up some... Oh man, my eyes are actually feeling a little bit stingy. I was thinking of using this same grater to grate up some of the cheese I'm going to need to grate later on, but I have a feeling that I might need to wash it a little bit, or maybe also use my other grater as well. Maybe a combination of the two. All right, let's put this in our cup, and real simple, we just need to get to 1/4 of a cup. Okay, I think this is actually going to be just enough. I think I cut off just the right amount and grated just the right amount. Okay. I might want to maybe wipe down that plate a little bit later, but this seems to be the right amount of grated onions. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schlep that into the bowl with the rest of the spices that we're going to need to worry about later. Merhallox I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but thank you for the subscription. Because you subscribed with Prime Gaming, you're going to get a total of 3 wheel spins from the prize wheel of causality. Let me just wash my hands real quick. Hold on a second. There we go. Sometimes that prize wheel, that foot pedal isn't as responsive as it should be. And after I dry my hands, I'm going to go ahead. I am going to spin that wheel. All right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to put the onion spice mixture over here near the stove so we can have that ready for when we get to that. All right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add 3 wheel spins to the count. We're going to go ahead and we're going to zoom in. And now let's go ahead. 1, 2, and 3. Well, Pokemon card time. I am very happy that this early on in the stream we got to do something this exciting. This is where we open up 4 cards from a Pokemon card booster pack that I have on hand, just out of frame. Let me just bring in the proper camera view. So this is from the Pokemon Sword and Shield Evolving Skies booster pack. As you can see right here, you have a delightful image of Rayquaza on the cover. I think that's a Rayquaza that has been evolved to tremendous size via the power of Dynamax, but I'm not 100% certain. Let's go ahead, let's rip this thing over. On the cover art inside the piece of cardboard that we just opened up, we have an Umbreon. This Umbreon, unlike the Rayquaza, which was on the booster pack, does not appear to have Dynamax, but that's okay by us. Okay. Now, how do I get this thing open without completely ripping the cards asunder? That is the $1,000,000 question. There we go. There we go. Okay. So like I said, we're going to open up 4 cards now. Take the chef knife. I think that might rip our cards a new one, but I'll keep that in mind if we have this issue in the future. So the way that this is going to work is real simple. We're just going to grab 4 cards from the bottom of the pack, and then we will put the rest of the cards away until the wheel should land on Pokemon card time again in the future. All right. Who's number 1 going to be? Let's find out. Oh, it's a Molga. This is, of course, the electric flying type Pokemon introduced in Gen 5. As it flies, it scatters electricity around, so bird Pokemon keep their distance. That's why a Molga can keep all of its food to itself. It's a cute little illustration. All right. Card number 2. What's it gonna be? Let's find out. Oh, it's Woobat. This is another Gen 5 Pokemon. This is, of course, the flying psychic type Pokemon. It emits ultrasonic waves as it flutters about, searching for its prey, bug Pokemon. I remember I used Woobat and its evolution Swoobat a lot in, I believe, the first time that I played through Gen 5. I always thought that Swoobat was a little bit underpowered, but I did really like its design a lot. That was definitely one of those Pokemon where I'm like, this is not the most powerful Pokemon on my team, but I do really respect the design. All right. Who's it going to be? Oh, look at that. It's one of those Gen 8 Pokemon that I don't know offhand. Gossifleur. It's a really cute illustration. Wheels around in the wind while singing a joyous song. This delightful display has charmed many into raising this Pokemon. And that's the way that Gossifleur works. All right, here we go. The final Pokemon card for now. Who is it going to be? Who's going to round out our first opening of Pokemon cards? It is, oh, look at that. It is Phoebus. Of course, this is the water-type Pokemon introduced in Gen 3 that evolves into Milotic. It is a shabby and ugly Pokemon. However, it is very hardy and can survive on little water. It was sort of the equivalent of Magikarp in its generation, but unlike Magikarp, it can actually learn some like decent water-type moves like Hydro Pump and Ice Beam and the like. All right, well, that's that for our Pokemon card opening. Without further ado, I'm going to just get back on track a little bit and work a little bit more on our tomato sauce, and then within the next 5 or 10 minutes, we'll do our second wheel spin. So we've assembled our dried oregano, basil, red pepper flakes, and our fourth of a cup of grated onions. So what we got to do is we got to turn up the heat on our saucepan to medium. And then, yeah, I think we can just leave that the way it currently is. Yeah, I think that's good. And then we will add a little bit of olive oil. Let's see here. 2 tablespoons of olive oil is what we need. Let me just go ahead and let me quickly bring in the stove view so you can have a better view of what we're looking at this evening. There we go. So we're gonna get our olive oil nice and heated up. There we go. All right. You know what? We actually have a bit of time now while we wait for that olive oil to heat up. So ahead of schedule, let's go ahead and let's spin the wheel again. 1, 2, and 3. Well, animals are dumb. This is where for 2 minutes on the clock, I tell you about why a random animal is dumb. To Merhalox, if you have a particular animal that you'd like me to talk shit about for 2 minutes, by all means, let me know in the chat. If you don't have any coming to mind, I'll go ahead and ask snakes. All right, perfect. Perfect. In that case, let's talk about snakes for a couple minutes. Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Kazina, and I'd like to take 2 minutes to talk to you about the snake. A noble creature, a misunderstood creature. Nay, the snake is a horrible abomination of an animal. You're going to tell me that you're going to look like a lizard, which is kind of cool. You're going to have a nice forked tongue, which is kind of cool. And you're not going to have any legs that you can use to walk around on. Instead, you're going to kind of waddle on your belly in this weird kind of way. And whenever you like move forward, it's like this really weird motion that kind of looks like you're more like a video game character that somebody has brought to life in their first Blender modeling class than an actual animal that lives on this planet. You look like you would belong in the sea, but somehow you decided that, you know what? No, I'm going to make it work on land. I'm going to make it work in the air where my weird snakish movements don't actually make all that much sense, despite somehow unimaginably working. I still, to this day, don't understand snakes. That's how unremarkable and infuriatingly confusing these reptilians are. And I know some of you out there are saying, oh, well, isn't it kind of impressive that this animal evolved to, not have any legs, and yet it still works? Nah, the way I see it, you have the chance to retain legs when you become an animal. You should retain those legs. I appreciate Merhalox in the chat says, snakes are so stupid, OMFG. I mean, yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Snakes, just real gosh darn stupid. And I mean, to that point, not just stupid in terms of being a real dumb design in God's treatise of animals, but also probably real dumb too. You just microwave a mouse in front of it that has been certainly dead for years and centuries now, and all of a sudden it thinks, oh, because the dead mouse is a little bit warm, it must be fully fresh. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bite right into it. It's a stupid animal. It's a dumb animal. It's a bad animal. Snakes overall, from top to bottom, are just a shit-tacular animal. Snakes, I salute you for being the worst animal of them all. All right, Echo, turn off the timer. Okay, and that was another round of Animals Are Dumb. Let's go and see how that oil is coming along. Oh, I think that our oil is nicely heated up, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add our spices and onion. Thank you, Merhalox. I really appreciate it. All right, here we go. Oh, did somebody just follow me? Merhalox, thank you for the follow. You actually are going to get another wheel spin because of that. Because every time you follow me, you get an additional wheel spin as well. Let me just work my onions on the stove real quick. Again, I keep saying onions, but it's actually just leeks that I've cut up because I didn't have any onions on hand. Hold on a sec. There's another little chunk over here that I can probably break apart a little bit. Whoa! Did somebody else follow me? Mr. Litterleastung. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly, but you indeed just did follow me, which means that we are going to get another spin on the prize wheel of causality. Jesus, a lot of people are following me. Who followed me now? It is Fata Lover Dose 74. Well, thank you all. I'm going to have to add 3 spins to the prize wheel of causality in just a second. Actually, let me just do that right now before I forget. There we go. Before I spin the wheel next, I'm going to just pay very close attention to the stove because I don't want to burn any of the leek that I have in there. Allow them to cook for 3 to 4 minutes, stirring frequently so nothing sticks or burns. Add garlic and continue to cook for another 30 seconds to a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to alternate between just cutting up my garlic here on the counter and also stirring my leeks and spices over on the stove. Again, really want to make sure that the stuff on the stove does not burn at this phase in the cooking process, because that would be real bad. A real bad way to start out today's stream. Okay. Gotta say, smells really good. Nice and aromatic, which is what we are going for, so I appreciate that. So normally what you would do at this stage, Cox Baron 69. Okay, well that's certainly a name. But you did subscribe with Prime Gaming, so that's another 3 wheel spins that we've got to add to the prize wheel of causality. That is a lot of wheel spins, but we will get around to them in due time. Okay, we need to go ahead and we need to grate up some of our garlic so that we can have that ready to go. Normally, in a normal kitchen environment, what people will just do is they'll just chop up the garlic real finely with a knife. And you also followed me as well. Thank you oh so much. Give me just a quick second so I can add another spin to the wheel. There we go. Thank you all oh so much. This was very unexpected, and I really appreciate it. Okay. I think that's more or less all the garlic minced up. Some of it is still stuck inside the bell grater, but I'll deal with that on a later occasion. Now, did I set a timer on my Amazon Echo? Echo, how much time is left on the timer?
There are no timers set.
No timer set, okay. So I'll just have to kind of play it by eye. It's getting a little bit brown, so I don't have much more time that I can waste. I'm just going to try to get as much of the garlic out of my bell grater as I can. There we go. All right, I'm going to put this by the sink temporarily just so that I can remember to clean it a little bit later on before I use it to grate some cheese. Okay, I'm going to do another quick little stir. of these spices and leek that are currently inside my pot over here, again, just to make sure that nothing is burning. And then I'm gonna stir in the garlic so that we can allow that to cook up just a little bit as well. We're gonna just stir it up a little bit just to make sure that everything is getting nicely cooked, including the newly added garlic. Okay. Looking pretty good. I'd say that's been about 30 seconds that we've allowed it to cook. All right, so after cooking all that stuff over the stove, the next step is that we gotta add the pre-prepared tomatoes along with the sugar and salt. Let the sauce reach a simmer, then lower the heat to medium-low and allow the sauce to simmer for 30 minutes. Taste and adjust with additional seasonings if desired. If you use a more concentrated tomato flavor, you can continue to simmer the sauce for upwards of 15 more minutes. Let's go ahead and let's crack open our crushed tomatoes. Okay, just put that in the sink so it doesn't dirty up anything else. Let's bring our stove cam back into focus. All right, there we go. Let's just scrape up some of the pureed tomato that's still in the can. Still a little bit at the bottom that I haven't gotten to. Let me just try my best. Okay, now important step, we're gonna make sure that all this stuff is nicely mixed up so all the spices and leek and whatnot are nicely integrated into the tomato paste that we just poured in. Like such. There we go. Looking good, looking real good. Okay, now we gotta go ahead and we gotta add our salt and our sugar. Let's see here. What does ye old recipe have to say about the amount of salt and sugar we gotta add? Well, it's still pretty hot, so I'm gonna just turn down the heat a little bit. Jesus, hold on a second. Where is the cover for that thing? Okay, this is not the cover for this thing, but this will solve my problem temporarily. I will find the cover in a moment. It might be like drying over there. Okay, we need 2 teaspoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. Simple enough. Let's see here. Let me just grab my measuring spoons real quick. Jesus, how did so much tomato sauce bubble up? This is way too much. Okay. Number 1 and number 2, that's all our sugar. I'm gonna actually go ahead, seeing as that we don't need to use any more sugar today, I'm just gonna schlep it back into the cupboard from whence it came. And where is our salt? Here we go. Again, give me a second. I need to massage this a little bit by stirring it up. That'll help matters. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. And that is my teaspoon of salt. Hello to nice_GBC who just followed me. For that, you're going to get a spin on the wheel spin of causality yourself. My day is doing pretty okay. Pretty okay. The past week or so has been kind of difficult for me for various reasons, but this stream thus far has been all right, and I feel like the prep going into this stream was like pretty straightforward. There wasn't a lot of difficulties, or at least not a lot of difficulties that took a lot of effort to resolve. I need to grab like a cover for that particular pot, and I'm not sure where I can find the cover that I'm looking for. You know what I could do? Maybe there's something inside my dishwasher. Nope, there is not anything inside my dishwasher. Hold on just a quick little second. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put this out of the way. So the thing is that we need this thing to reach like a proper like simmer before we can kind of like put our timer on it. Give me just a quick second. I'm just going to step out of frame real quick to see if I can find one of the covers that I saw earlier in this off-screen pile of dirty dishes. Here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to give this thing a rinse real quick, just because it might have been touching some other dirtier dishes in itself. And it is too big for it. Okay, for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use the big cover that I was originally using. I don't know where the cover that this one normally uses went, but I guess that's a problem to be resolved for another occasion. Okay. Whew, sorry that I didn't switch camera views in the middle of all that. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead. I promised that I would spin the prize wheel of causality, and we're going to do exactly that. Echo, set a timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, starting now.
Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's bring in the prize wheel camera view, and let's spin it. 1, 2, and 3. Well, look at that. Just barely landed on Pokemon card time, which means that we're going to be opening up some more of that Pokemon booster card pack from a little bit earlier. Let's go ahead and let's do that right now. Here we go. Okay. So this is going to be 4 cards from the booster pack. Let's see what this one has in store for us. Oh, look at that. It's Hippopotas. This is the ground type Pokemon introduced in Gen 4. This Pokemon is active during the day and passes the cold desert nights burrowing snugly into the sand. This Pokemon, it actually has 100 HP and it has Tackle and Mudshot, which both do 30 and 50 damage respectively. So it's actually kind of a pretty chunky, powerful Pokemon for being like a unevolved Pokemon. I'm just checking up on the past. It seems like it's okay. All right. Who is up next? Dana. Who is going to be Pokemon number 2? Oh, Well, look at that. It is a holographic Pokemon. It's Appleton. This is actually one of my favorite Pokemon that was introduced in Gen 8. This is, of course, the grass dragon type Pokemon that looks like an apple pie. Its body is covered in sweet nectar, and the skin on its back is especially yummy. Children used to have it as a snack. I'm guessing they stopped children because they realized that that was killing Appleton. All right. Why is this particular pot of sauce being such a pain in my neck? Give me just a quick second. I'll get back to the Pokemon cards in just a minute. I'm just trying to make sure. How can I position this so that it doesn't... That should be okay, but yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Let's open up Pokemon card number 3. What's it going to be? Oh, check it out. It is Gigalith. This is the Gen 5 Rock-type Pokemon. Although its Energy Blast can blow away a dump truck, they have a limitation. They can only be fired when the sun is out. This Pokemon actually has a move that does 180 damage called Pressure Shot. This Pokemon also does 10 damage to itself for each damage counter on it. So it sounds like it's kind of a... mixed blessing, a bit of a glass cannon. Okay. I think I'm going to turn down the temperature just a little bit more. I'm going to set it to absolute minimum. A first-time chat from Pish to Papa, best followers, primes, and viewers over at... Oh, nope. Shouldn't have read that. Don't follow his advice. Completely ignore it, please. All right. Let's see what Pokemon card number 4 has to offer. Oh, it is an energy / rock type energy card. Of course, useful if we want to use that Gigalith we just pulled in battle, but obviously not as exciting as actually pulling Gigalith himself. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do another spin from the wheel spin. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, animals are dumb. This is where for 2 minutes I got to tell you about why a random animal is dumb. Thank you to Nico_GBC for the subscription. Very much appreciated it. Let me just go ahead and add 3 to my wheel spin count, which means I'm at 10. This is pretty unprecedented for this channel. Okay, I got to talk shit about an animal for 2 minutes. If anybody in the chat wants to recommend a random animal that I should talk about, I am more than happy to take any suggestion you might have. If not, I will ask my Amazon Echo to name a random animal for me to chat about. And also, it would seem as if the pasta sauce I've been cooking down over here has more or less died down, so I think that was probably the right temperature to put it at for the time being. Platypus. All right, well, let's talk about the platypus. Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
Second timer, 2 minutes, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about the animal known as the platypus. Now, first off, this is a little bit of a weird way to start out our discussion on the platypus, but I was really annoyed the other day because I thought for the longest period of time that a plural of platypus was called a platypi, because, you know, that sounds correct, it sounds Latin-y. Apparently it's actually platypuses, which... one, that isn't very particularly flattering for the platypus, but also it just sounds plain wrong. And so that should kind of give you a preview of what kind of animal we are talking about when we talk about the platypus. This is an animal with its weird little webbed feet and its milk that it secretes from its furs and its eggs and all of its weirdness that just defies comprehension. I know there are some people out there that, really have a deep, appreciation for the platypus and just how idiosyncratic of an animal it is. And I mean, I kind of got to respect that. I kind of got to respect that when, animal research people were first shown the platypus based on remains of it that were, exported from Australia. They straight up thought, oh man, this is an animal that doesn't even exist. This must be some weird fabrication that you assembled with other animal parts. But honestly, I'm just not feeling it. I think that the platypus, it's throwing everything into the kitchen sink, and you're ultimately coming out with just not a particularly polished product. You're throwing all your dishes into the sink, being like, all right, these are all dirty dishes, but we're going to be able to clean them in time. And then after we clean them in time, we'll have a nice clean rack of dishes. But then you just pour water on it, and they just sort of stink there in the kitchen sink for the next half an hour to 4 days, and it's just really not a great time. And you wish that it could be great, but again, this is an animal that secretes milk through its fur. It sounds cool, but it's really not. It's really probably not. Unless the milk actually makes its fur physically feel cooler, in which case, I mean, I guess that's a thing. All right, Echo, turn off the timer. Tomato sauce is continuing to do its thing. Let's see. Let's go ahead and exit out of our animal talk view. Let's go ahead. We have quite a few wheel spins that we got to get down under our belt. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do one more wheel spin, and then I will briefly move on to what we got to do next for the stream. All right. 1, 2, and 3. 10 push-ups. Oh boy, here we go. Here's the first wheel spin landing of this particular stream that's going to cause me to bust a nerve or two. Let me go ahead and bring in the proper camera view for this one. Okay. Kind of was wishing that we could start out with 5 push-ups instead of 10, but this is what the doctor ordered, so here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh. I feel real red in the face after that one. Before I do anything else, let me just quickly move that out of the way and wash my hands, because the floor definitely not clean. Okay. So while the tomato sauce continues to cook, figure that next thing that we can do to help move things along for this stream is to start defrosting some of the spinach that we are going to be using. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, we're going to be putting a mixture of ricotta, spinach, and some spices inside of the beet flavored pizza whistles that we're going to be using. And as it would happen, the only spinach that we have on hand is currently frozen. So we're going to have to go ahead and we're going to have to defrost some of it. I just want to quickly determine how much of this stuff that we got to defrost, because the recipe here says that we got to use 1.5 cups of cooked spinach. And this particular package here, it has a left and a right little kind of cube of spinach. I'm trying to figure out, I'm guessing one of these cubes is probably equivalent to about a cup, so I should probably just go ahead and defrost the 2 of them. Let's see here. There we go. This pot almost feels like it's maybe a little bit too small for this, but I'll manage. There we go. Yeah, I think this will be fine. Right now it looks a little bit awkward because they're both stacked on top of each other and are kind of peeking through the pot, but as they melt, the amount of spinach matter that we're dealing with right here will become much smaller. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to What should I set the temperature on that burner to? I'm going to put it to like medium-ish, and then we'll see if that's a little bit too intense or not. Okay. Echo, how much time is left on the timer?
You have 18 minutes left on your 30-minute timer.
That's the 30-minute timer for the tomato sauce, by the way. Okay, it's simmering really nicely there, by the way, so glad to see that that is coming along nice and well. Okay, now that we've got the spinach on the stove, let's go ahead and let's do another wheel spin from the prize wheel of causality. 1, 2, and 3. Ooh, Bionicle book time. This is where I read from Bionicle Chronicles #1. The first Bionicle book released in the series, and tell you about the Tale of the Toa, which is the subtitle of the book. Let me go ahead and let me briefly, quickly bring in that particular camera view. Last time that we had left off Toa Tahu, the Toa of Fire, he had descended deep into Onokoro in search of an X-ray mask. But he found himself in a bit of a perilous position. Let's pick up from that moment and see if he survives. After resting for a moment, he pushed himself into a crouch and then back into a standing position. Okay, slow and steady it is then, Tahu told himself. One foot in front of the other. He took a step, wavering slightly and resisting the urge to look down. 1 step, 2 steps, almost there. Bzzz. Suddenly, the air was filled with a loud, violent hiss that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Startled, Tahu slipped, 1 foot sliding out over the nothingness. Just in time, he flung himself sideways, arms outstretched, regaining his shaky balance on the narrow beam. Dozens of bright red creatures had appeared out of nowhere, swarming across the narrow bridge from both directions. Each was the size of a clenched fist and looked like a cross between a scorpion and a giant wingless firefly. Their deadly-looking pincers clamped open and shut rhythmically as they buzzed towards Tahu, their legs moving too fast to be seen. "Hey!" Tahu cried in annoyance, kicking at several of the creatures that were already swarming up over his feet. "Get away!" The glowing scorpions paid no attention. More and more of them swarmed around him until they completely covered his legs. "Ow!" he cried as one of them sank its pincers into his ankle. He smacked it, but already 2 more of the creatures were clamping onto his knee and thigh. "Enough of you," he muttered, pointing the sword just above the thickest cluster of the creatures on the bridge nearby. Focusing his energy, he blasted a spurt of flame, hoping to scare them away. But the creatures merely glowed brighter, seeming to suck in the heat of the fire. "What?" Tahu exclaimed. "So you like fire, eh, you stupid little pests? I'll show you fire." He pointed his sword again, sending flame roaring out from the end of it. But once again, it only seemed to make this creature stronger. Will Tahu be able to escape this predicament? You'll have to wait until my next reading from Bionicle Chronicles #1. All right, let me just briefly, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out the camera view. I'm just going to go ahead and check up on my spinach. Okay, so they're beginning to melt a little bit, but it seems like it's going to take a little while. Eventually, it will get to a point where everything will kind of cascade and they'll just sort of kind of completely fall apart on the vine. But right now, these guys are going to need to take their time in order to fully come undone. Maybe I should, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to flip these guys over, seeing as how their undersides have already been cooked a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do another spin from the prize wheel of causality. 1, 2, and 3. 10 push-ups. All right, well, if that's what the prize wheel of causality wanted me to do, then that is what we are going to do. I can't say that I'm happy about it, but unfortunately, it is out of my hands. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. You know, I've definitely been able to manage my push-ups a lot better than when I first started doing them on stream, but that still it's quite the workout. Again, I'm going to wash my hands just so that I can keep them as clean as possible. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. First things first, let's check up on our spinach again. Now the other side of the spinach is beginning to come apart, which is nice. I'm actually going to scrape some of the kind of cooked spinach that is on top of these things now and put it at the bottom so it can begin to form a little bit of like a spinachy soup down there that will allow the rest of the masses of spinach to kind of like cook a little bit faster, if that's possible. There we go. I was able to put them entirely flat like that. So that's nice. Next thing's next. We got this used up leek that we're not going to be using anymore, so I'll go ahead and I'll put that back in the fridge with its other leek buddies, like such. That looks good. Okay. You know what? I'm a little bit parched from doing all those push-ups, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to grab myself a quick glass of water. Or maybe another beverage. You know what? No, I'll stick with water for the time being. I'm not really in an oat milk kind of mood. Let me just grab the water off camera real quick. Don't worry, I will be right back. Here we go. I'll just put the water over here for the time being. It should probably be okay. All right. Let's do another wheel spin. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, it's time to eat a durian candy because the prize wheel of causality just landed on the durian candy spot. That means that I have to eat a candy that is flavored with, of course, the power and stench and flavor of durian, which of course is a infamously stinky-ass fruit. I have eaten these candies many times before on streams prior, and thankfully the taste of them is so bad that that's not really one of my prevalent kind of predominant memories that I associate with these particular streams. Let's go ahead, let's bite right into this guy. Again, I really am kind of concerned by the fact that it's as brown as it is. You think it would be maybe a little bit like green or yellow, because that's like what a durian is typically colored. The outside is kind of greenish and spiky, and the inside is kind of yellow, but alas. Yeah, it's still pretty bad. Nothing much else to say, but you sometimes kind of hope that you're going to discover a newfound appreciation for this. I mean, they made an entire bag of these durian candies. That's what I'm like picking from whenever I have one of these durian candies on stream. But alas, it still kind of sucks. Okay, let's go ahead and let's get the ball rolling on another thing that we need to do this stream before we can begin to assemble our pizza whistles. I have right here a pack of Italian sausages. We're going to be putting some Italian sausages in some of the pizza whistles. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook some of these bad boys. Now I I suspect I'm probably going to not need all 5 of them. I suspect that 4 probably might be overdoing it. I suspect that even 3 might be overdoing it. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook a total of 3 of these bad boys. And any leftover that I have, I can always, you know, use on another occasion for something else. Maybe I can pack it in my lunch. All right. I'll probably, let me just wash my hands real quick. I should find a Ziploc bag that I can put the remaining sausages inside of so that they can be adequately protected when I put them back in the fridge. Give me just a quick second. Okay, perfect. We're going to be using this nice little frying pan over here for the purpose of cooking our sausages. Before I put them in, let me just check up on the spinach. Because, yeah, the spinach is really beginning to kind of come undone. There's only one side of them that's not really been cooked, so I'm going to kind of move around the spinach guys so that the uncooked side is on the bottom of the pot. Same with this guy as well. Okay. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit on the burner that our frying pan is on top of. And I'm also going to grab some tongs out of this drawer over here so we can have them on hand to help cook up our sausages. I don't think that we're going to need to grease up this pot. We have some olive oil on hand, but I don't think that we're really going to need to do it because these sausages themselves are quite greasy. Probably won't need any additional grease to get them going. I'm just going to wait just a little bit for the frying pan to heat up, and then we will go ahead and put our sausage boys on it. Okay, while we wait for that to happen, let's go ahead and let's do another wheel spin. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Oh, Pokemon card time. That means that we are going to be finally, at long last, opening up the final 4 Pokemon cards from the Pokemon card pack that we've been opening up over the course of the I should say, past hour or so on stream. All right. So I'll just get this out of the way. Oh, one of the 4 cards is the QR code thingamabob that is typically included with the Pokemon card pack. So if you got a screen grab of that real quick, feel free to use it. All right, from the remaining 3 cards, let's go. One of these is going to be a trainer card, but there will be something cool in there, I think. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Oh, check it out. It's Pyroar. This is, of course, the lion fire Pokemon, the evolved form of Litleo. The temperature of its breath is over 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, but Pyroar doesn't use it on its prey. This Pokemon prefers to eat raw meat. So that's Pyroar for you. All right, card number 2, or rather number 3 if we also count the QR code thing. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Oh, it is a trainer card. This is Dream Ball. You can play this card only if you took it as a face-down prize card before you put it in your hand. Search your deck for a Pokemon and put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. So it seems like situationally kind of a useful card, but I don't know with certainty. I don't play the TCG. All right, last card. Na-na, 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 na-na. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Let's see. Well, it's another trainer card. Stormy Mountains. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a basic electric Pokemon or basic dragon Pokemon and put it on their bench. Then that player shuffles their deck. All right, that doesn't seem as situationally useful as Dream Ball, but maybe I'm mistaken. Okay, hold on a sec. Let's see. Seems like our frying pan is hot enough for some sausages, so let's go ahead and let's do exactly that. This time around, so I don't have to constantly wash my hands, I'm going to use my tongs, actually. Well, maybe I should have waited a little bit longer for it to heat up a little bit, actually. Whatever. Ultimately, we'll just cook our sausages until they're ready. However long that should take. And that durian candy, by the way, it's still in my mouth, and it still really, really, really sucks. Like, really sucks a lot. Spinach, there are big chunks of the 2 spinach cubes that have not yet defrosted, but it's coming along. And I don't think we have a lot of time left for our tomato sauce. Echo, how much time is left on the timer?
You have 1 minute and 40 seconds left on your 30-minute timer.
It's 1 minute and 40 seconds left. That's pretty exciting, actually. That's pretty exciting. That means we are almost at the end of our pizza sauce, tomato sauce journey. Let's see here. Sausages, yeah, they're doing their thing. We'll continue to kind of keep a close eye on them. Okay. At this point in the process of making our pizza whistles, we're pretty dependent on these 3 things sort of running their course. As soon as they've run their course, we'll be able to kind of move on to the next step. Although we can cut up some of our pepperoni in the meantime, and we can also grate some of our cheese. So there is also that too. What do we want to do? Let's go ahead. I'm just going to grab a small piece of paper towel, and I'm going to use it to kind of wipe down this plate, because this plate still has some residue of the leak from earlier on it. And let's go ahead. Let's bring in the sink view, and we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to lightly rinse the interior of the bell grater, just so that we don't have too much of the leak or garlic residue from earlier interfering with the cheese that we're going to grate on this thing. Okay. Echo, turn off the timer. That was the timer that just sounded for my pizza sauce. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to completely turn the temperature off on this thing. I'm going to remove the cover from it as well. And I'm just going to put it over here to cool down. Looks like it's developed quite nicely. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a nice little stir. It's still bubbling a little bit, but now that I've turned down the heat, it should stop in due time. There we go. Let's go ahead. We're going to flip the sausages over to another side so that they can cook a little bit more evenly. Oh yeah, and let's also just mix around the spinach a little bit more. 2 words that begin with S, easy to accidentally get them confused in the heat of the moment. Okay, what do we got to do next? Right, we got to go ahead and we got to just wipe down this bell grater a little bit more. So it's not quite as covered in residue. So that none of the cheese is sticking to the kind of oniony, garlicky water that's on the interior. Okay, I think that's about good enough of a job as we're going to manage. Again, I will continue to kind of keep watch on everything on the stove. Let's go ahead and let's bring our cheeses out onto the counter. I've been keeping them refrigerated over the past little while. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to move the sausages around again so that, again, we can continue to have an even cooking of them. Okay. There we go. I'm going to mix around the spinach as well. I think the spinach is more or less, yeah, it looks more or less almost entirely defrosted to me. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to remove that from the stove as well. There we go. All right, let's do another wheel spin. 1, 2, and 3. Oopsie daisy, we landed on Pokemon card time, but unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say that I actually don't have any more Pokemon cards left for the remainder of the stream. I didn't think that I was going to get this many wheel spins today, so I figured I was okay with just the one Pokemon card booster pack. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spin the wheel again. Redo. Hot sauce shot. Okay, well this is pretty self-explanatory. This is where we take a shot of hot sauce. The hot sauce in question is going to be Cholula hot sauce sweet habanero, as you can see right here. Let's go ahead and let's grab our little shot glass. Here we go. Oh no, this is a little bit on the big side. Let me get something smaller. Here we go. This is actually one of those little things that you use when you crack like a hard-boiled egg that you made for breakfast. I'm just going to quickly crunch up the rest of the durian candy that's in my mouth so I don't have both durian and hot sauce in it all at once. Okay. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's do our shot. Well, maybe I put a little bit too much hot sauce inside this thing, but well, it's too late now. Thank God I have some water on hand, so I'm going to need it after this. Just to give you a little bit of insight. All right, bottoms up. Give me a second. I need to grab some more water. That helped a little bit. Okay. Sausages are very kind of superficially cooked through, but it's going to take a little bit more time for them to fully cook through. While that's happening, let's go ahead and let's shred up some cheddar. we're starting off, hold on a sec, let me bring the counter view in. As you can see, we're starting off by grating some cheddar cheese. We're going to use a mix of both cheddar and mozzarella for the cheese for today's meal. So I'm starting off by using this particular piece of cheddar cheese that had been already opened on an earlier occasion, but we'll need to use a little bit of this package that you can see over here on the left as well. All right. Okay. Checking up on the sausages again. Again, still very kind of superficially cooked. We're going to need to kind of continue to move them around in their frying pan until we eventually get to the point that we need them to be at. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to remove the tomato sauce from the stove. I'm just going to put it on a burner over here to the side next to the spinach, because I think it'll be better if we kind of let it cool down a little bit over there for the remainder of the stream, so that when we spoon it on top of our main pizza whistle, it's not going to be scalding hot anymore. Okay. Oh, you know what? I just remembered something. I think that we had a party the other day, and we actually had some like cubes of cheddar cheese that were cut up that were not used. Let me just see if I can kind of grate those up. Here we go. There's also some blue cheese mixed in there, but we're not going to be using that. That's actually the blue cheese that was left over from the stream where we did the macaroni pizzas, in fact. Okay. Well, this is not perhaps as ideal as if I was grating up like a single large kind of chunk of cheddar cheese, but I'm glad that I am able to recycle these things and use them up on today's stream. I'm not sure what will become of the remaining bits of blue cheese that are in that Tupperware container. Nico_GBC says, what do you do for a living? I actually do quality assurance work for a company in Montreal called PTW, which stands for Pull to Win. This is not something that I do as a living technically, but also on the side, I also run a podcast called Press While I Z. It's a Canadian gaming podcast that you can check out. Plug. From twitch.tv/presswhileiz. There's also like a link to it in the panels below this particular stream. But yeah, my main source of income is working at this quality assurance company, PTW. What do I do there? Unfortunately, that's for you to imagine, because my NDAs are very strict. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grate up this piece of cheddar. And then I'm going to put the rest of the cheddar back in the fridge temporarily and focus a little bit on the mozzarella so that we can help even the odds here and have a mix of both cheddar and mozz. just a little bit over here on the side. We're almost done with this piece of cheddar. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's put a elastic band on this boy real quick. I will put this guy back in the fridge. I'll tend to the sausages another time, and we'll do another wheel spin. There we go. All right. One, two, and three. 5 push-ups. Okay, that's not as bad as 10 push-ups. Let's go ahead and let's do it. Give me just a quick second. All right, let's get psyched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Whew, way better than when I had to do 10 push-ups, but I'm still going to go in, wash my hands real quick. All right, just 3 more wheel spins after this, unless one of you lucky, delightful listeners from the chat should drop me another follow or subscription. Let me just turn on the fan here, because these things are beginning to emit quite a bit of steam. I think it might be a side effect of them having previously been frozen before I worked on them today. I don't know with certainty, actually. Let's go ahead, let's bring the counter camera in. All right, let's see how much nourishment this half of a thing of mozzarella provides. Okay, just a little bit more, and we will be done with this big lug. That was a lot of, gotta say, I was not expecting that much mozzarella cheese to pop out from underneath the bell grater. Just a little bit more, and we'll be through with this chunk. Okay, now I'm just going to do my best to kind of mix up the cheeses so we have an even distribution of both cheddar and mozzarella on this plate. And I think this is actually way more cheese than I was anticipating we'd be able to get out of that chunk. So I think that we're actually good for now in terms of our cheddar and mozzarella. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this plate on the side. Of course, if we need any more cheddar and mozzarella later, we can obviously just grate up more. No issue doing that. Let's go ahead, let's check up on our sausages. Okay, I think our sausages might be almost done. Let me just, yes. Yeah. All right, we're good. I'll be checking up on them in just a second. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the mozzarella away in the fridge. Yeah, I think I really should check up on the sausages. So let's do that first before we do any more wheel spins or cheese gratings or what have yous. All right. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut it lengthwise like this. Oh, seems like it's entirely cooked through the center. That's a good sign. Sausage number 2, let's see if it passes the test. Yep, it is cooked all the way through the center as well. And let's see if sausage number 3 passes the test. Yep, sausage number 3 is cut through the center as well. We have 3 perfectly cooked sausages ready for when we eventually need to put them into the pizza whistle. Well, we're going to probably need to cut them up a little bit before that happens, actually, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Okay, we don't need to do anything more over the stove for the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to move the stove can out of the way like such. Okay, what do we want to do next? I guess what we should probably do is, just so that we have it all ready and on hand, we should probably go ahead and prepare first the filling that we're going to be putting inside of the beet flavored pizza whistles. And then after that, we can move on to cutting up the sausages, cutting up the pepperoni, because we still have a stick of pepperoni that we got to cut up, and then we can begin to work on the pizza doughs. Okay, so we're going to need for our spinach ricotta mixture a cup and a half of cooked spinach, 1 cup of ricotta cheese, half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Let's go ahead. I actually have a plate, or rather a bowl right over here that I was preparing for this exact occasion. You know what I'm going to do? Let's go ahead and let's grate up the Parmesan cheese first. And I'll grate it over this bowl so I can just sort of quickly measure it in a measuring cup to see if I'm on track. We need, as stated earlier, a half a cup of this stuff. I don't know how thick it's supposed to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grate it on this grater, which is like the super fine cheese grater. Hold on a sec. I think I saw a little tiny chunk that wasn't supposed to get in there. I'm going to remove that. Okay, let's see how much that is. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the big measuring cup for this one. Fourth of a cup. Okay, got to grate a little bit more. I'm going to do everything that I can with this chunk. And then at a certain point, I'm going to have to switch over to one of the other chunks that I have on hand. It's about, I think, at about just a little bit under like a fourth of a cup of grated Parmesan right now in the measuring cup. Okay, I think this is about as much as I can get out of this piece. I realized I never turned off the fan above the stove, so I'm going to turn that off right now. We still need to go a little bit more. We're at like a third of a cup. I think this chunk that we have over here might be what we need, but we'll see. Hold on a sec. There's a little chunk that got in here that's a little bit too chunky for what we're making. Okay. I'm getting really sweaty right now. Okay, let's see if this does it. Well, it's almost there. I almost feel like it's a little bit under it, so I'm just going to grate up this final little piece of parm that I have on hand, and that should probably be good. It's getting really like tough to kind of grate this thing. It's just breaking up into bigger and bigger chunks at this point. So I'm gonna trash what remains of this and go with what we could kind of get out of this that is still fine enough piece-wise. All right. Yeah, this looks like what we need. All right, perfect. And that is the half a cup of grated Parmesan the recipe calls for. While we're ahead, let's go ahead and let's spin the prize wheel of causality. No, I have not forgotten about it. I've just been looking for the correct opportunity to do so. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Animals are dumb. The third time on this particular stream, this is where I talk for 2 minutes about why a particular animal is done. If anybody in the chat right now has a suggestion for what animal I should talk smack about, by all means, let me know. If not, I am going to ask my Amazon Echo to name a random animal for me. Whew. There's a bit of a delay on these stream chats, so I'll just give you all a minute to get in your responses if anything immediately comes to mind. If not, it'll be off to the Amazon Echo to decide for us. All right, let's go ahead and let's ask the Amazon Echo. Echo, name a random animal.
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, honey badger. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Honey badger. Okay. Perfect.
Thanks for your feedback.
Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about the honey badger. Now, you're probably sitting there in your seat thinking, oh, I love badgers. They're real nice. They're real cute. I love honey. Honey's a, delicious, succulent little treat. Apparently, you can put them in like Egyptian pharaoh tombs for thousands of years, and they'll literally still be totally edible and digestible, although they probably might not taste like anything. Certainly, the honey badger would be a nice, cuddly animal that you'd love to hang out with. No! As I'm sure that you're probably aware of from video games like Far Cry 4. I think it's Far Cry 4 where the honey badgers exist. If not, it's Far Cry 5. It's one of the Far Cries. Honey badgers will really fuck you up if you give them a chance to, which is why you do not want to give honey badgers a chance on anything. These dastardly little animals want to lull you into a false sense of security so that they can rip out your heart, rip out your lungs, rip out any major organ that allows you to go on living on this planet Earth, but you can't give them the chance. And so that's why, right here and right now, I want you at home, Bob, Gail, Robert Zemeckis. I don't know why I'm naming the producers of the Back to the Future trilogy. I meant to just say random names, but for whatever reason it came out to those names. I want to let you know that you have to say N-O, that spells no, to honey badgers. And if you're French, that would be non, which is N-O-N, which is no in French. If you're Japanese, say iie, which if you were to convert it into Romanized characters, it would be I-I-E, which means no in Japanese. Sorry that my camera is shaking a little bit. There's like a mini earthquake that's currently happening in my house because a honey badger is seemingly marching through it. See how much honey badgers suck? They tried to take over the stream, but alas, they were not able to do so. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why honey badgers suck. Remember, if your name is Bob Gale or Robert Zemeckis or any other name in the human language, make sure to tell them no. Echo, turn off the timer. Okay, what do we got to put next in this thing? Let me just take a quick little second here. We got in our half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. We got to put in a fourth a teaspoon of nutmeg and half a teaspoon of salt. Let's do the spices next. Now, where did I put my measuring spoons? Because at one point I noticed that one of them was a little bit dirty, and so I put it over to the side somewhere, but I don't know where. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use this one real quick. We don't have a lot of nutmeg left. We'll have to get a new shaker at some point. Man, why is it not coming out? This is not... a little bit got in there. All right, this will be our fourth of a teaspoon of nutmeg. We need to get more nutmeg at some point. All right. Nice of you to join us. Let's see, what's next? Right, we should put in our half a teaspoon of salt. There we go. A teaspoon of salt is in. Let's see here. Next two ingredients are our spinach and our ricotta cheese. Let's put the spinach in next. Spinach has been resting over here, cooling very nicely. I don't know exactly how much spinach this is going to be, but if it equals to exactly a cup and a half, I'm going to be very happy. All right. Let's spoon this stuff in. It's a little bit under a cup. Give it just a little bit more. All right, so that's the cup that we need. Now, is the remaining spinach that's in the pot equal to an additional half of a cup? We will have to find out. I'm hoping it does, because that would work out really nicely. It's not quite at half of a cup, but it'll have to do, unfortunately. I'll add a little bit of the extra little spinach water that remained at the bottom of this pot so that we can really kind of get as much spinach in here as is possible. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this thing by the sink. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get the ricotta in here. The ricotta I, of course, have been keeping inside the fridge. It's not yet been opened. And I should probably, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a new spoon for this, actually. Because, of course, the rest of us in our family are going to want to continue to use and indulge in the ricotta, and I don't want the ricotta that will remain in the ricotta packaging to be tainted by the spinach. This ricotta is a little bit firmer than I was expecting it to be. It's all right, though. All right, how much? It's like at 3/4 of a cup. Okay, gotta get a little bit more in here, and that should top us off. All right, that looks like a nice cup. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna quickly put the rest of this stuff back in the fridge. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put this measuring cup over here. And let's go ahead and let's mix this stuff up. Doesn't look super appealing right now, but I'm sure that with enough mixing, it'll look palatable enough. Actually, I probably should have switched to one of the bigger spoons that I had on hand for this part. Oh well. All right, looks pretty good. Ready to be put inside the beet pizza whistles when we get to them. Let's see here. Let's make a little bit of space on the counter because we're getting pretty close to the time when we're going to need to start assembling our pizza whistles. We don't need any more extra virgin olive oil, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that stuff away into the cabinet from whence it came. Same with the Parmesan cheese, so I'm going to put that away as well. Okay, I guess the last thing that we got to do before we can begin to start assembling the pizza whistles is just getting our meats ready. So let's go ahead and let's do exactly that. I want to make sure that the sausages are cut into nice small little pieces. So I'm going to cut them in half like this, and then I will kind of chop them into pieces from there. Okay. Looks pretty good. Let me just wash my hand real quick. Just got a little bit greasy doing that. Well, you know what? Speaking of things I can put away, I have a little thing of yeast, active dry yeast. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that back in the cabinet from whence it came to, seeing as how we don't need that anymore either. Okay, let's go ahead and let's cut up our sausages into tiny little wedges like such. There we go. Spent quite a few streams cutting things up. I'm still not able to like fully do that like super good fluid kind of cutting motion with my knife, but I've gotten better at the cutting game over time. Three more, and we will be good to go. And I think before I cut up the pepperoni, I'll do another wheel spin. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's just rinse our fingers real quick. It's off to do another wheel spin. One, two, and three. Ooh, Bionicle book time. Here we go. It's been a while since we've gotten this particular wheel spin reward. Of course, this is where we read from Bionicle Chronicles #1, The Tale of the Toa, the first book in the Bionicle Chronicles series from LEGO. Let's go ahead and let's bring in the proper graphics for this hallowed segment. Where we last left off Tahu, he was struggling to deal with some nasty, annoying scorpion-like bugs that were seemingly immune to his fire attacks. Let's see if he managed to ward them off. The bridge, however, was glowing ominously as the stone started to melt beneath the intense heat. "Uh-oh," Tahu said with a gulp as lava dripped off into the abyss. The creatures were swarming thicker now, dozens of them clamping onto every part of his body. "Must get away," Tahu thought desperately as he tried to shake them off. How could he fight the scorpions? His best weapon, fire, seemed to be completely useless against them, and he was trapped on this bridge, forced to fight gravity and wind as well as the swarms of creatures. Suddenly, Galli's voice floated into his head. Our best weapon is our minds. This was what she had said back at the clearing. At the time, Tahu had paid little attention to her words. Now, though, they burned within his mind. And with them, suddenly, came an idea. "Okay, pests," he said out loud. "Last chance to back off before it's too late. No takers? Oh, well, don't say I didn't warn you." With that, he dropped his sword onto the bridge, then bent and grasped the stone. Sorry, my apologies. Unfortunately, my pronunciation is not always as perfect as it could be for a book as perfect as this one. With that, he dropped his sword onto the bridge and bent and grasped the stone with both hands. Flinging his feet off the edge, he let himself hang loose once again over the abyss. He closed his eyes, picturing Liwa. The toll of air seemed unable to stand still for more than a few seconds, and had spent much of his time back at the clearing doing backflips and handstands. At one point, Tahu remembered, Liwa had even jumped up and grabbed onto an overhanging branch and swung himself around it by both hands, flipping around and around. Keeping that image in mind, Tahu swung his legs as vigorously as he could. It took a few tries, but finally he flung himself over the bridge and back around the other side. Gripping tightly with both hands, he pumped up his body, taking advantage of the momentum. He flipped around the narrow bridge again and again, building up speed. Tahu spun faster and faster, and before long, the scorpion creatures started losing their grip. One by one at first, then dozen by dozen, they flew away into the darkness. And that is all for Bionicle Chronicles number 1. Let's go ahead and let's get back to business as usual. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of space on the cutting board that we've been cutting the sausages on top of. And I'm going to cut up the pepperoni on the other side of it. Let's go ahead. I think what we can actually use the bell grater. Thank you, by the way, to like quickly slice up some pieces of pepperoni. It hasn't worked so well for us in the past, but we're going to give it another shot here. And if it doesn't work, well, we can always just, again, cut it with the knife. All right. Let's see here. I guess we can cut the little reservoir tip off of this thing over here. All right. Oh, did I forget? Is there actually a thing of plastic on this thing? Nope, that's part of the package. I'm just going to cut off a little tiny piece for myself. Yeah, this is normally how it's supposed to be. All right. If I cut off this part here, which is a little bit misshapen, and I try to cut it like this. No, it's just not working. All right, we're going to cut it with the knife. No big deal. We're going to try to be as thin as we possibly can be, but obviously mistakes will happen. Am I actually supposed to take this part off? Screw it, let's do it. Because it's causing me a lot of issues trying to cut this stuff. Even if it is membrane and totally edible, like, I don't want to make my job any harder than it is at the moment. Okay, you know what? I just realized I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start heating the oven to the temperature that we need it to be. Because better do that now than forget to do so and then have to kind of catch up later. Okay. Doesn't matter if these pieces are... Doesn't matter if these pieces don't look perfect, because ultimately they're going to not be visible on the pizza whistle itself. I might actually even cut some of these in half, actually. You know what? I'm going to do that, because that way there won't be as much matter per piece of pepperoni in this thing. There we go. We're going to cut that in half, and we're going to cut these two pieces in half and keep chopping from there. There we go. We've got a lot of leftover pepperoni from this. We'll figure something out to do with it. What if I cut this one upside down? We'll see if that actually makes much of a difference. Fuck. There we go. Okay, before we get around to assembling our Inception Pizza Whistle, let's do our final wheel spin for the time being. 1 second. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Excellent. Another Bionicle book time. I was really hoping that it would land on this particular spot, and the wheel spin of causality delivered. Let's go ahead and let's see what happens next in Tahu's adventures. It's working, he thought gleefully. It's working. They can't hold on. Still, he kept spinning around and around until he felt the last fiery wounds of the creature's pinches fade away and could no longer hear their buzzing. Only then did he slow down enough to flip himself back upright onto the bridge. There, he thought, breathing hard from the effort. Even Liwa would be impressed by that. He glanced up and down the bridge. There was no sign of the swarm in either direction. He then felt a pinch and looked down to see that one scorpion creature had managed to hang on. I think I can handle one of you, Tahu said, yanking the creature loose. Time to go join your... Wait a second, what's that? He paused in the act of tossing the glowing creature into the chasm. What was that on its head? Looking forward, he saw that it was wearing a tiny mask over its face. The mask was pitted and pockmarked, but it was a mask nonetheless. Strange, he muttered, poking curiously at the mask with his finger. The small creature buzzed angrily, struggling against Tahu's grip. When his finger came close enough, it flung its fingers out and grabbed it, clamping down viciously. Sorry, that sentence was a little bit weird. I got a little bit tripped up. Ow! Tahu yanked his hand away, once again winding up to throw the little beast down and be done with it. But again, something made him hesitate. Why would a creature such as this wear a mask? He shifted his grip up on the scorpion creature until he managed to trap its pincers within his hand. Then he used the other hand to carefully peel the little mask free. As soon as he did so, the creature went limp in his hand. For a second, he thought he'd accidentally killed it. But then its legs waved weakly, and it chittered woozily up at him. He set the creature down on the bridge at his feet, being careful not to put his fingers within each of its pincers. But he didn't need... Hold on a second. I get real tripped up. I realize that I get tripped up a lot when I read these books, but sometimes authors like to use weird words that aren't seen a whole lot, and you kind of do a double take when you read them. This author, Greg, no, it was not Greg Farshley, it was C.A. Hapka. Greg Farshley has been like the lore master of a lot of the kind of like Bionicle stuff for the past little while. This particular author used needn't, which is not a word I hear a lot, and so it tripped me up a little bit. Let me reread that. He set the creature down on the bridge at his feet, being careful not to put his fingers within reach of its pincers. But he needn't have bothered with such caution. All right. Why needn't he have bothered with such caution? We'll have to wait a little bit to find out. Oh, gotta say, that was a lot of readings from Bionicle Chronicles #1. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get things ready. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna move a couple of other things that we don't end up needing in the end out of the way. We need to make sure that we can provide as much space as we can for our pizza whistles, because we're going to need to kind of stretch them out real long so that we can kind of roll them up real nicely. So the more space that we have to work here on our counter, the better. Let's see. Yeah, I can put the water over there. Okay. We have some grease marks over here, so I'm just going to quickly rub it with a little bit of paper towel. Where did I put the paper towel? Here we are. All right. All right, just going to wipe down the counter so that it can be as dry as possible. All right, looking pretty good. Oh, wrong camera. There we go. This is the camera. We're going to start off by working our normal white colored dough, not flavored with anything, but a little bit of Italian seasoning and salt, and olive oil too. I don't know if that's enough flour. Let me just put down a little bit more, just a touch more. There we go. All right. Well, seems like this particular Glad wrap got a little bit stuck to it, even though I olive oiled it. All right, there we go. There we go. It smells very nicely yeasty. I'm pretty excited. Make sure it loses as much of its air as possible. All right, now we're just going to spend a couple of minutes getting any additional air out of it by kneading it. So let's set a timer. Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now. I don't know if they're picking up on stream, but there are minute moments where the pizza dough squeaks as a result of me busting an air bubble. You can still see a few pockets of air on it here and there as I continue to knead it. I'm wondering if I need to add maybe just a little bit more flour to it, because it's still a little bit on the sticky side. There we go. Not too much, because we don't want it to become too tough. Just enough to, again, de-stickify it. Okay. A little bit more and we will be good. It says about 30 seconds left, which sounds accurate. I think most of the air bubbles have been popped by this point. You know, I'm still a little bit concerned by how sticky it is. I'm going to add just a little bit more flour. Of course, I will continue to put flour on my work surface when I roll it out real long so that it doesn't stick as we're in the process of assembling it. Okay. Echo, turn off the timer. Okay, now typically in the past, when I wanted to make a single full-size pizza, I've used a fourth of this. I'm thinking that if I use half of the amount of dough that's currently in front of me, that'll probably be about as much as I want to use. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut it in half to the best of my ability. And I'm not gonna put the other half away. I will keep the other half in the bowl that I originally got it from, and we will kind of keep it there in case it should turn out that we need the rest of it. Now, this other half. Yeah, let's go ahead, let's add a little bit more flour so that we're not dealing with as sticky of a dough. There we go. All right, looking pretty good. Again, we will see if that actually is as much dough as we need or not, or if we need to add a little bit more, but I think that's okay for the time being. Let me just, hold on, just so that we can pick it up easily later on. I'm just gonna put a little bit of flour underneath the surface where we'll plop it. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and let's deal with the beet dough. As you can see, it's risen quite nicely. Not to the same extent as the other dough had risen, but still by a nice little amount.
Can I get water?
Yeah, of course.
Is there water?
Not much.
Can we carry through it?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, seems like this one's a little bit watery, possibly because of the olive oil. Let's go ahead, let's put some more flour down on the counter so that we can work this dough as well. Okay, now, like with the other dough, we're just going to spend a little bit of time kneading it so that we can get all of its air bubbles out of it. Okay. I think that we actually added about as much flour to this as we probably needed because it feels pretty firm already. I don't feel like I'm going to need to add that much more flour. I'm just going to spend a little bit more time kneading it because I can still feel some air bubbles here and there popping. It's a really nice shade of red, I gotta say, really nice shade of red. Okay. I think that's good. All right. We're definitely not gonna need this much dough, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut this thing in half, like what I did with the normal dough. The other half I'm just gonna temporarily plop back into the bowl. I almost feel like this much might actually almost be a little bit too much. So we used a total of 4 cups of flour to make the beet dough, which means that now we're dealing with 2. This, because we used 7 cups of flour to make this one, this should be like 3.5. I just feel like I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut this in half again. And this one, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it in its own bowl temporarily. There we go.
And again, we can use up more of them if we feel like we need to. Okay. What we're gonna do is let's work on the main large pizza whistle that the thing is gonna go on top of first. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab ourselves quite a bit more flour and just put as much of it on the counter as we can muster so that our counter is all nicely floured up and prepared for the big act. There we go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna work the dough. We're gonna slowly but surely kind of stretch this thing out. I'm gonna use gravity a little bit this time at the front, just so that we can have a nice long piece of dough that will be easily shaped into a whistle slash penis slash whatever you want to call it shape. Oh no. This part got a little bit too stretched in the middle here. It's not good. All right. This is going to be a little bit more tough than I think I was initially anticipating it would be. I'm wondering if maybe what I should do is I should actually, I should make a U shape. I should do a U shape so that I can don't have to make it super long. I think that might actually be for the best. Here we go. This is my first time making a pizza creation quite like this, so you have to excuse me if the journey to get there is a little bit fraught. Another issue. All right, let's go ahead and let's work this thing. So what we're going to do is put simply, we're going to kind of flatten out every section of this pizza whistle so that it's large enough for us to put tomato sauce and such on it. This is going to be a little bit, I'm beginning to realize right now that this could be a little bit on the challenging side actually, but we'll do our best. Okay. Anytime that there's a section that needs a little bit of dough, I'll just take some dough from another section and add it on, like such. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous now. Like I said, this is my first time doing something of this nature. I've made pizza whistles before, but nothing quite on this scale. So we will find out together in real time if this was a grand mistake or something beautiful. Okay. Let's grab the pizza sauce. All right, I'm going to spend a little bit more time just stretching out the dough so that we have something that we can just work with a little bit more
in each section, something with a little bit more surface area for us to put cheese and tomato sauce and toppings on. We can always also kind of just stretch out the dough as we need be while we're working on it midway through. Okay, there we go. I have a little bit more dough over here. There we go. Okay. Without further ado, we're going to start putting sauce on, but we're going to be very careful. By the way, it seems like the oven is more or less at the temperature we need it to be. I actually might raise it a little bit. It's currently at 460 degrees Fahrenheit with, it's also in convection mode, so. Okay, now I'm going to do my best to just sort of like lightly spread around the pizza sauce. We want to be careful because we don't want it to go over the edges because we still need to be able to cling on to the edges. Okay, I think I'm gonna do it for that. Next up, we're gonna put our cheese on. I'm just gonna wash my hands real quick. You know what? Because I have a feeling that we're not gonna end up using it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna schlep the bigger of the two lumps of beet dough that we're not using into the freezer. Just so we don't have it kind of wasting away uselessly on the counter over there. We need to make sure when we do this that we leave as little air as possible in the bag because what air will remain in the bag will end up getting kind of sucked up by the dough. Got to keep it as airless as possible. All right. Oh, hold on a second. Let me just put this a little bit more gingerly inside the, there we go. Okay. Next up is the cheese. I'm going to try to be as even as possible in terms of the amount of cheese that we're using on this thing. Keep in mind, we're going to need to leave some cheese left over to put on top of the pizza whistle after we've cooked it a little bit. Okay. Slow progress, but I'm just trying to be very meticulous so that we're not accidentally misplacing a bunch of cheese as we do this. Okay, just a little bit more, and we'll be good. All right, and now for the meat. Yeah, I think I made a few too many pieces of sausages, but it's okay. It's okay. A little bit more, and we will be able to get around to our pepperoni. All right, and finally, the pepperoni. I'll try to do like tit for tat with regards to both the pepperoni and sausage distribution, if that's possible. Pepperoni are a little bit thicker than I would have liked, but it's all right. Go. We're about halfway there. Oh, Charisma, thank you for the raid. We still have a little ways to go with regards to our prep, but we are fast approaching the end of the stream. Right now I'm in the process of making the base pizza whistle that the smaller pizza whistle dudes will go on top of. Melissa, thank you for the follow. I will have to spin the prize wheel of causality in your honor. Give me just a second. I want to wrap this thing up nicely, and then after that I will take some time to spin the wheel, as the kids say. The pizza whistle, let me tell you, I am really looking forward to seeing how this thing comes out, because I have really kind of surprised myself at how much I enjoy pizza whistles in the past. I think this one has the potential to blow even them out of the water, Charisma. Okay. Let me just wash my hands real quick. I don't have much meat left, by the way. So I'm thinking that, yeah, after I wrap this up, I don't think I'm going to be able to do much with the remaining pizza dough that I have over there. So after that, I'll put that pizza dough away. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm just going to add a couple more pieces of meat to this end over here, because it seems like we have a lot of leeway to do so. I'm going to go ahead and begin wrapping this thing up. I'm going to be very careful, making sure to kind of pinch it nice and tightly all along the way so that we have a nice and tight pizza whistle that isn't bursting at the seams. Okay. Sorry that this is taking a little bit of time. I'm just trying to be very kind of careful so that it's all nicely kind of sewn up, so to speak. I hope everybody that joined in to watch via the raid is having a good day yourself. Today's been okay for me. I managed to have an okay time doing a lot of the prep work for today's stream, which normally some prep times for my streams can be a little bit on the stressful side, but at least that part was not stressful. Okay. It seems like we're running out of a little bit of dough. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some dough from the other thing of dough that I have over here, and I'm going to use that to help things along. It's so to use a visual reference, basically, see the thing that I just brought up on the side? It looks like that, but this time around I'm going extra with it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a big, super big pizza whistle. And then I'm going to put a bunch of smaller pizza whistles on top that will be made, hold on a second, with this red-colored beet dough that I made ahead of time. So it will look like there's like a bunch of smaller pieces of pepperoni on top, but those pieces of pepperoni will actually be made out of more pizza whistles themselves. That's the basic plan. Okay. Okay. It's about a third of the way there. Again, sorry that this segment of the stream is taking its time. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is tightly sewn up so that when I cook this thing in the oven, it isn't like just bursting randomly in the middle of its cook time. So I'm going to need another little piece of dough over there to help it things out. Thank you all for the compliments, by the way. I would hope that the food I make looks good. Sometimes it looks a little bit gnarly, but this is one of those occasions where I think we can all agree that it looks pretty good. Tastes pretty good. I think it will too. Okay. I need to apply a little bit more dough. Thank God I didn't put this thing in the fridge or freezer right away. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. Yeah, this section of the pizza whistle is a little bit on the thin side. I'll do my best. Hold on a quick little second. I have a dough scraper right here. I'm just going to use that to move some of this pizza sauce out of the way so I can continue to sew this thing shut without it causing me too much trouble. Emphasis on the too much trouble part. I think I need to grab a little bit more dough. Yeah, this part here needed a little bit of extra help. Problem is that the dough itself is beginning to stick a little bit to the kind of counter underneath it, so that's sort of complicating matters a little bit. Let me start, you know what, this part here, I feel like I've been dealing with a lot of difficulties for a while now. Let me start on the other end. Unfortunately, you can't really quite see it on camera, but this part, this end of the pizza whistle is considerably easier to sew up for the time being. So I'm going to start here, give myself a little bit of a mental break. Okay, here we go. Another part where there's a little bit of difficulty. Let me grab some more dough. There we go. There we go. Okay, we have just this one last little segment over here, and we will be done with this section of the pizza whistle prep. Unfortunately, it seems like the amount of dough that we have to work with will once again get a little bit sparse. So I'm going to start by kind of doing the parts that I can do at the moment. That didn't work out quite so well. Let me just try to do this normally without any additional dough. Yeah, this part here is a little bit messy. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Just need to grab a little bit more dough to help myself out. The dough fixes everything. Okay. Need a little bit of dough over there. Okay. Now, even more dough is needed. Hold on. This is tough. You do not know how tough this is. Hello to Corrali. Nice of you to tune in to tonight's stream. We're at a little bit of how to say, we're taking our time with this particular segment on the stream because we need to make sure that this log of pizza goodness is sewn up as tightly and as best as it can be if we want the rest of the meal to work as planned. So sorry that things are a little bit of a lull right now. I trust in me when I say that it will pick up very soon. Okay, I just gotta sew up the rest of this thing. Should be good. There's just this one last little segment over here and we will be good. Core eye, okay. And I have a long hair, bro. It's not look good. While cooking, you know. I have been thinking about getting a haircut at some point in the future, but I think I'll manage for today with the hair that I currently have. We're nearly at the end. Thank you, Andy. Much appreciated. Sorry, it'll still be a little longer until I can finally bake this thing, but it's coming. It is coming. Okay, just gonna add one last little piece of dough to this one part of it that still has an open wound, so to speak, and we will be good. Okay, all that is all nicely sewn up, which means that we can finally begin to make it into the pizza whistle shape that we all know and all love. So we're going to slowly kind of helixify it like such, being very careful. We don't accidentally burst a seam as we do so. It's going to be a little bit slow going at certain parts. Thankfully, I applied a lot of flour. Oh, hold on a second. Some more dough is needed. There's a little bit of an open wound over there I was not aware of. There we go. Okay, again, another segment over there that's a little bit woundy, but I think we can keep going. Just need to complete the helix. And even if there are some open gaps here and there, it should still be okay. Yeah, this is actually, that's a little bit too much of a problem. Let me grab some more dough so we can fix it. Okay. Thank you once again to Charisma and Company for remaining patient with me while I work this pizza dough into shape. Okay, this is going to be, let me grab some parchment paper because I'm going to want to transfer this thing onto my pizza peel pretty quickly. Okay, this looks pretty good. Pretty good. So what we're going to do is real simple. We're actually going to cook this thing in the oven a little bit. We're going to like slightly pre-bake it. And then when it comes out of the oven, we're going to put the kind of smaller red pizza whistles on top of it. Here's the things. I need to get this thing onto the peel, but this is going to be a little bit on the tough side. I guess what I can do is I can kind of like slowly edge it underneath it, but this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. Let me grab some spatulas. Okay, we're getting there, but it's going to be, as you can see, this is not going to be a walk in the park. What if, no, not enough of it is on this thing. I need to keep working it. Oh, I got an idea. Give me just a second. Where is the parchment paper? Here we go. Fuck. I need to grab more parchment paper. There we go. I'm going to slip this underneath the other side. such. And then I guess, I don't know. All right, we're almost there. The problem is that there's like a narrow spot in the middle of the pizza whistle where there is nothing underneath it. No parchment paper, no nothing. And that's the part we've got to accommodate for. It's the part we got to fix. I'm going to make another sheet of parchment paper and we'll figure it out. Okay. Sorry guys that you're watching me deal with so much problem solving all at once on this stream. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. How I'm going to do this. Can I just move more of it onto the thing if I just push it along like this, like that? Oh, here we go. I think I may have figured out the solution. So if I cover it like that, no, not quite there. Oh, hold on a second. Can I get it underneath a little bit? Okay. Yeah, I really should have thought this part out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I really did not plan this out very well. Really did not do so. Okay. At some point, I'm just going to have to, like, say fuck it to this thing retaining its shape and just get some parchment paper in there. Okay. Now I have to go ahead and get this thing underneath this lunk of dough. Okay. Okay, not your finest work, Cozy, but you managed. And now I'm just going to cut a little bit more around these couple of sheets of parchment paper that are located on this side, and we will be ready to schlep it in the oven. Before that, though, I'm going to work on the small little red pizza whistle. So I'm just going to put this over here to the side, just so we can have that at the ready. I have a feeling that the amount of red dough that we have here to work with will probably be fine. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just preemptively, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the rest of the red pizza dough away. So I'm just going to knead this for a couple of secs like that. There we go. Make ourselves a nice little ball. There we go. Let me just check something real quick. All right. And I'm going to grab myself another Ziploc bag and schlep this thing into the freezer. There we go, in the freezer. And you know what, while we're at it, we're also gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut up and store the remaining pizza dough that we have here that we were working with when we did the big pizza whistle thingamabob. So I'm just gonna cut this up real nice. Once again, we're just gonna knead it a little bit, make sure that the parts on top that got a little bit dried out don't get a little bit kind of refreshed by the rest of the dough that's around them. And I think that for these guys, I can go ahead and I can use a couple of sandwich bags. I think that will probably be fine. Probably. We'll find out later on if that was actually a bad decision in retrospect. I'm just doing this in the middle of the stream because I just want to make sure that these doughs are stored as sort of soon as possible, because they will dry out if I am not careful to do so. All right, to the baggie we go. There we go. All right, with that all taken care of, let's turn our attention back to our red dough. So I'm trying to think how many individual like red pizza whistles I should make from this guy. I'm gonna start dividing it into two, and then we'll figure out from there how many I should go for. I think that 8 is like a healthy amount. Eight would be good, I think. Yeah, I think anything more and we would probably be stretching ourselves a little bit thin. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Okay. Okay, not able to stretch it perhaps as long as I was hoping for, but I think we'll still manage. So we're probably going to have to be a little bit careful with how we put our spinach mixture on these things. It's a little bit too much there, a little bit too much. Okay, this is going to require a little bit of a different strategy than what we employed when we were making the big pizza whistle, I think. Because, yeah, this stuff is a little bit waterier than what we were putting on the big pizza whistle. Okay. Okay, it's a little bit... let me grab... Hold on, I should grab some parchment paper. I should put these on parchment paper. Doesn't look as bad from up above, but a little bit close up, it looks a little bit weird. You can definitely see a lot of the spinach stuff inside of it poking out. Here we go. If I do it on the other side, it doesn't look as bad. So I think I'll do it like this. There we go. Okay, let's work on these other boys. All right, I think we did this one a little bit better. Emphasis on the little bit part, because there are some parts of it that are still a little bit bursting at the seams, but we will make it work. Let's see, 7:13. I suspect 7:45. I think we'll probably close out the stream at 7:45 at the rate at which we are going. Okay, there we go. Whistle number 2, ready to go. All right. Let's go with this guy next. Okay. Again, I'm trying to be sparing with the amount of this stuff that I put on it. Try not to overdo it. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too much, but we'll figure it out. Okay, There we go. This is the most successful one of the mini pizza whistles thus far. And I was concerned because we weren't dealing with a whole lot of dough on that one, but we made it work. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this one next. We'll save the bigger doughy ones until the end. Okay, perfect. All right, perfect. I think the technique of kind of stretching these things out after we've rolled them up is really kind of working in our favor. Let's grab another little piece, or you know what, maybe we can cut this one in half. Oh, shit, it's not good. Give me a second. There we go. We'll have to cut some more pieces of parchment paper. Give me just a second. Okay. Number 5, let's go. There we go. There we go. Pinched. Pinched. All pinched up. Gonna stretch it out a little bit. And we do the roll up. A little part there got a little bit burst open, but it's okay. Okay. There we go. 3 more of these guys, and we will be good to go.
There we go. 2 more. Let's go. Okay. Okay, here we go. Number 7. Oh, hold on a second. This one did not come out as good as it could have, but if I put it like that, there we go. We have a much healthier looking pizza whistle boy. All right, finally, the last one. The big Bertha of the bunch. I could almost make 2 out of this guy, but I'm just gonna keep it at 1, just to keep things simple. All right, and there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put this guy on this piece of parchment paper over here. Okay, maybe I should like pre-bake some of these a little bit actually. Moonsan, a lot of gluten in those babies, looking good. Thank you, Moonsan. Okay. Oh, piece of parchment paper fell off. I wonder why. Okay, so the next step of this fantastically weird creation that we're making is we got to get this thing in the oven. Now I can get it in there, but it's going to be a little bit challenging. First things first, when I looked in the oven earlier, I think I saw a wire rack directly above the pizza stone in there, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this thing in the oven for 5 minutes. 5 minutes so that it can nicely firm up. Let's go ahead and let's do it and hope for the best. Oh, came off the pizza peel easier than I thought it was going to. Let me just, hold on. I'm just gonna reach inside the oven real quick. Oh, thank you, Doc Squishy Paws, for the follow. I got a follow earlier that I did not properly reward with the prize wheel, so I'll have to make sure that I do that. There we go. Echo, set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, Starting now.
Okay. Whew. Let's go ahead. Let's actually take care of those two, I should have said, right now. Add a wheel spin, and we will add another one. There we go. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Ooh, Bionicle book time. This is where we read from Bionicle Chronicles #1. Let's go ahead and let's do so right now, real quick, while we have the time to do so. When we last saw him, Tahu had succeeded in defeating the unusual creatures that had managed to swarm over him within a tunnel within Onukoro. And now he is confronted with a new mystery. What was controlling those mysterious bugs via the worn out and old down and rusted mask that was on top of them? But he needn't have bothered with such caution. Showing no interest in him whatsoever, the little scorpion scurried away quickly down under the bridge, disappearing a moment later into the darkness. Tahu blinked, wondering what might have meant. Sorry, guys. The exhaustion of having to have done this stream for as long as I've done it is getting to me. Let me start that up again. Tahu blinked, wondering what that might have meant. Had the creature run away because he'd removed its mask, or because it had suddenly realized it was now all alone in its attack? He opened his hand, staring at the tiny mask. A gust. Ah, man. Hold on a sec. Let me do some quick little stretches. I need to get my mojo moving again. In a few minutes, I'm going to have to take the pre-baked pizza out of the oven, and I need to be ready for that. He opened his hand, staring at the tiny mask. A gust of wind swooped past, nearly sending him off balance once again. It also swept the small mask off Tahu's palm and away into the chasm. Tahu grabbed it, but it was too late. The mask was gone. Blowing out a sigh of frustration, he did his best to shrug off the loss. The important thing was that he defeated the scorpion creatures. Now he could continue with his quest. He picked up his sword. After all that had happened, he walked across the bridge, no longer seeming quite so daunted, and it wasn't long before he was stepping onto the ledge. The mask was lying there waiting, its empty eye holes staring up at him blankly. He picked it up and salted it on over his own mask. Energy exploded within him. He staggered forward, remembering the drop-off just in time to stop himself from stepping right over the edge. So much power! He looked around, seeing his surroundings with his new eyes, aided by the mask's power of X-ray vision. Even in the near darkness, he could see the veins of minerals buried within the stone walls around him, the trickles of water cutting through the solid rock beneath his feet. Tahu blinked, trying to get used to this new way of seeing. Okay, he whispered to himself in awe. Now we're getting somewhere. Whew. And that was that for Chapter 8 of Bionicle Chronicles #1. Hello to Doc Squishy Paws. High key hoping for Animals Are Dumb would have died laughing. Oh, you will have to wait for the next time that we spin the pizza wheel to potentially get that. In the meantime, I have to take a pizza out of the oven. Echo, how much time is left on the timer?
You have 40 seconds left on your 5-minute timer.
40 seconds left. I'm just going to make just a little bit of space here on the counter. Okay. Thanks to you all once again, by the way, for sticking around with me this late into the stream. It has been a long and arduous process, but we are nearly at the end of it. Okay, I think we are ready to take our pizza whistle out. Echo, turn off the timer. Okay, perfect. This is just as baked as I was hoping it would be. All right. So here's what it looks like right now. It's not particularly baked through, but it's baked enough that we can put all of our additional toppings on it without too much additional issue. Let me just grab a hot plate real quick so I can put it underneath the pizza peel like such. There we go. Okay. Now what I'm wondering is if I should actually maybe pre-bake the little red pizza whistles first, because I think that will actually make the process easier for me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, real quick, I'm going to put the pizza whistle on top of this particular piece of parchment paper, so it's now entirely covered on its bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schlep all of these little guys into the oven, and I'll put them in there for like 3 minutes. Let's go ahead and grab another oven mitt. Actually, I probably don't even need the peel for this. I can probably just insert them like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there we go. 6, 7, 8. Perfect. All right. Echo, set a timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
Perfect. All right. Actually, I'm wondering if it might be easier. You know what? I think I might not actually even need all this parchment paper anymore. I think I can probably manage without it if the underside of it is firmed up enough. Let's find out. Nope, not quite. All right, we'll leave it like that for the time being. Okay, while those things are cooking inside the oven, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a little bit of cheese on top of this pizza whistle. There we go. That's pretty good in terms of cheese. Okay, and last but not least, I'm just going to put a little bit of Italian seasoning on top of this thing, because I feel like a lot of the good pizzas I've had in the past put a little bit of seasoning on top to make it have a little bit more flavor. Okay. All we got to do is we just got to wait for our little pizza whistle minis to come out of the oven. And we will be good to go. Echo, how much time is left on the timer?
You have 10 seconds left on your 3-minute timer.
10 seconds. Echo, turn off the timer. All right. Well, some of them have grown quite nicely. Okay. All right, last one out. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead, let's top this thingamabob. Let's see here, I'll put that one there. I don't know if I'm gonna use all of these actually. That one there. And this is another one that came out real good. Put that one there. I feel like this one we gotta put on because it looks so goddamn good. That one there. I feel like I gotta put one more in the center. Means that we'll have to leave one. There we go. I think that's probably for the best. Eat one solo to see if they're good. Unfortunately, like feeling this one right now, it's not cooked through enough. The dough is probably gonna still taste very raw, but I will definitely, that one over there, I'm definitely gonna eat solo at some point after it's been cooked. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's put this thing in the oven. I'm going to put it in the oven for 8 minutes, and we will check intermittently to see how it's doing. And all the while, I will do this stream's round of snacks and collation while we wait. Here we go. Fuck. Shit, I did not realize that it would move around quite so easily. I'm gonna have to be super careful. Come on. Okay. There we go. All right. Echo. Set a timer for 8 minutes.
8 minutes, starting now.
All right, while that's happening, let's go ahead and let's do today's round of snacks and collation. Let me tell you, I got something real special in store for today. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Snacks and Collation, the weekly recurring segment on Kozibear's Cooking where I taste all manner of unusual international snacks so that you guys at home don't have to, and I can taste something else that's contributing to my receding hairline and waistline. Today, we're going to be tasting something that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, ever since I got these at the international European market, where I first saw them sitting ever so quietly on their shelf. These are Kinder cards. These are basically Kinder chocolate and like Kinder like cream filling made in the shape of playing cards. We all know just how good Kinder products are, so much so that they banned a bunch of them in the United States for being just too good. And so I am especially excited to see how these turn out. I think these have the potential to be a top tier snack, but there's only one way to find out for sure. So without further ado, let's get into it. By the way, all the instructions on the back of the Kinder box appear to be in Italian. Yeah, it's all in Italian, unfortunately. Nothing that I can translate. It seems like it's Italian as like the primary language, and then, oh, hold up. There is a little bit of English here. The biscuit by Kinder, so thin, so surprisingly creamy. Too thin and crispy wafers enclose an unmistakably Kinder, creamy filling, rich in milk and with cocoa. The small kid-sized portion is convenient all year round, also for an on-the-go break, so the translation work isn't really all that great. Kinder guarantees the quality of its carefully selected ingredients. So that stuff all had an English translation. The other two languages were Greek and Italian, but none of the other none of the nutritional information, none of the ingredient information was translated into English. Whoops. Well, without further ado, let's get into these. I really love the packaging. I'm just going to quickly zoom in on this. Very nice looking. Definitely gets me excited to dig into these. Let's open it up. Let's see. Oh, so we have two Kinder cards. Okay, so what we're dealing with here is we have sort of like a chocolate kind of cookie that sort of wraps around most of the card, and then on the back of it we have sort of like a kind of thin waferish cookie, and presumably in the center of this we have some cream. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's find out. Now that, let me tell you, when I first bit into it, I immediately felt and tasted the wafers that are keeping the kind of chocolate and cream enclosed, and I thought, oh, this is not going to be very good. And then I tasted the cream and the chocolate inside, and it all came together. Doc Squishy Paw says, any first editions in that box? Unfortunately, no. There's a total of, first time I've sneezed on stream. I'm sorry, I'll have to wash my hands. There are a total of 4 other card packs, plus the one I opened up, but no first editions, unfortunately. Yeah, that's good. The wafer parts are not as flavorful as the kind of chocolate inside of it, but you need the crunch of the wafer for this food creation to all come together. If it were not for the crunch of the wafer, it just wouldn't work. Let's go ahead and let's take another taste test from this thing. Oh yeah, plenty of great pulls. Man, I could keep eating these things all day. They're so good. All right, well, this is going to be pretty easy and simple. These things are a 10 out of 10. I didn't think I'd be able to pull another 10 out of 10 this season because I rewarded another snack 10 out of 10 earlier on. I think it was a brookie. But these things, man, they are a 10 out of 10. They were super duper awesome. Imported wafer-based chocolates always tend to be a bit stale to me. Hope you get a foil. I'm hoping for a foil too. Let me tell you, the wafer part, like, totally fine. I'm not saying it's like the best thing ever, but again, it does its job and it contributes to the kind of crunchiness overall of the snack. All right, let's go ahead. Let's end that segment. Echo, how much time is left on the timer?
You have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on your 8-minute timer.
Let's check out on the pizza. Seems like our pizza is coming along quite nicely, but I think I'm gonna need to give it the additional 2 minutes it needs. They're all foils. You're looking for a misprint. I like that. I mean, I gotta be honest, I wouldn't ask for any of these to be a misprint. They are perfectly fine as is. I think a misprint would be an unnecessary blemish upon their perfection. So good. So good. Now, I had some water around here earlier, but I don't know where it is. I have a moment to do so. We're not going to need to use our spinach ricotta mixture anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead, while I remember to do so, I'm just going to go ahead and put this away in the fridge with a little bit of Glad wrap helping out. All right, I'll probably use up some of the rest of the beet dough with that filling, like either tomorrow or the day after. Man, there's a lot of stuff to clean up in the kitchen, but we'll get around to that after we deal with the pizza. There we go. Hold on, there's a little spot on this that's a little bit wet. Let me just pat that down. All right, let's check out what's cooking in our oven. Echo, turn off the timer. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes, just to see if we can get the cheese to brown up a little bit. Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Starting now.
I'm just going to do a little bit more cleaning around the kitchen while we're waiting for that final timer to finish. Thank you once again to everybody for sticking with me throughout this stream. I think that the results of the fruits of our labors for today's show really speak for themselves. And I'm glad that you were on this ride to see it all come together. Just picking up like random like scissors and utensils that were used here and there that now need to be cleaned. I'm just grouping them all together by the sink so that when the stream is over, the amount of cleanup that we'll have to do will be a little bit lessened. There's a lot of cheese on this plate. I'm going to gather up this cheese real quick and store it in the fridge. I'll probably reuse that cheese when I use up one of the remaining balls of dough. I'll make myself another pizza with them, or maybe some garlic fingers. I like making garlic fingers a lot, and they're pretty easy, and usually you have what you need to make them on hand, because typically it's just like butter and garlic and salt and goodness. Echo, turn off the timer. Before I forget to do so, I'm just going to unplug the top-down camera that I use to photograph whatever it is that I'm working on my stove, seeing as how we're not going to need to use that anymore. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take our pizza out of the oven. All right, I think that's good. The pizza cheese did not brown up as much as I think I was hoping it would, but I think that the piece as a whole is fine the way it is. Let me just get this over here. There we go. There we go. Now, is this not a pizza creation that you want to dig your teeth into? Because let me tell you, I so much want to dig my teeth into this thingamabob. Oh man. Oh man. I am very much looking forward to this. I want to remove the pieces of parchment paper that are around its underneath, just to make it look a little bit more presentable before we close out today's stream. You know what I need? I need another spatula. And yes, I know it's very precariously close to the edge. Just trust me on this. I got this. If there are some pieces of parchment paper still underneath it, that's okay. I can always remove them later. I just want to get rid of the pieces of parchment paper that are visible. There we go. And just one last little piece over here. There we go. I think there's still another piece that's underneath it, but nothing that we can currently see. So I think that's going to be it for today's stream. All right. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. This has been an ever so delightful Kozibear's cooking stream. And ultimately, focus, Cozy. And also the ultimate, or rather penultimate stream of 20. Oh man, thank you, Moonson, for the subscription. Normally, if we were in the middle of the stream, that would get you 3 wheel spins on the prize wheel of causality, and your follow would get you 1 wheel spin. So I'm going to have to remember that for next stream, I have 5 wheel spins that I got to take care of. 5. So be sure to tune in to my next stream and also the final stream of Kozibear's Cooking Season 3 to see those 5 wheel spins happen. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to subscribe to me on Twitch and follow me on Twitter, just like Moonson did. And of course, don't forget to also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Alex Kozina. That's at AlexKozina. You can find links to all this stuff in the panels below the stream. I will be back next Sunday for, once again, the final episode of Kozibear's Cooking Season 3 at 4 p.m. EST with another unusual and scrumptious dish that I'm sure that you're going to love, especially if you love video game series about magic. I'm Alexander Kozina, and I want you to keep on